Hello everyone, today I have with me Dr. Mehmood, the Vice Chairman for Pepsico and our keynote speaker for the Open Forum 2015. Thank you so much Dr. Mehmood for coming over at the Open and speaking at the Open event.
Thank you, it's great to be here.
So how have your experience been with Open so far?
Well, I've been involved on and off indirectly with Open for a few years. I was introduced to Open by a very close friend who was one of the founders of Open Boston. Although I met him in Chicago, we became friends. And through that, got connected when I moved to New York, and it's just been an organization that I've been touched by and had the opportunity to connect with in more than one city: Atlanta, New York, Boston, Chicago,
and now Silicon Valley.
And now Silicon Valley for the first time.
We are really honored to have you here, and we are very interested in knowing about your background, about how you have managed such a big position, being the Vice Chairman for Pepsico. It's one of the leading companies and then one of the leading roles in that.
So there's two parts to your question. How did I get here and how do I handle things and do things today? So I grew up in England. I actually haven't had the chance to grow up in Pakistan. I'm proud to be Pakistani. And having grown up in England, went through a very traditional education, went to medical school, trained in endocrinology. I practiced and was a professor of endocrinology at the Mayo Clinic. And was very focused in the area of metabolic disease and metabolism. And you can never plan a career, but during my research and practice, was fortunate enough to make some discoveries that were relevant, and from that ended up eventually at a pharmaceutical company called Takeda Pharmaceuticals. Takeda was and is Japan's largest pharmaceutical and biotech company, and through my career over 5 years became president of Takeda Global R&D. And there I am, president of a company that's more than 200 years old, and I'm wondering how did I get here, and never been to business school and never really learned business, but it was an amazing graduate school in real life. And I was then recruited by our board of directors and Indra Nui, who had just become CEO chairman of Pepsico, and about 6 months after she took over as CEO, the opportunity came up to become initially the Chief Scientific Officer, then the Executive Vice President, and now the Vice Chairman. So, as I look back at my career, the interesting thing is I've never actually applied for a job in my life.
Oh, excellent.
In almost 30 years of my career, I've literally never applied for a job. One thing led to another, and was recruited. And I think what that tells you is that if you're having fun doing what you're doing, others are noticing, and something will open up and something will happen. Now, how do I handle it today? I can tell you it's very simple. No matter how large or how small an organization is, it's people. Hiring great talent. And my biggest job is seeking out and identifying good talent, young, experienced, mid-career, the whole spectrum. And I do everything I can, if I find somebody who's really talented, is to bring them into the organization. Even I found people when there wasn't a job that was open, I'll do anything I can to bring them in and create the job, because it's not what they've done in a technical area, but their skills and talent collectively that can change and help our organization.
That's a wonderful way of approaching your business and company and your career as well. So I'm assuming that you never actually wrote a perfect resume for yourself, right? Because you would never.
I've usually submitted the resume after a lot of the discussions have already happened.
I see.
And as you get more and more senior in your career and more public, the resume sort of becomes public anyway, right?
Exactly.
It's sort of irrelevant
right.
from a paper process point of view.
So, we definitely need people who would go beyond borders, trying to get the right person in the right job and then train them. And I really appreciate you telling us as well that you look for the right talent and bring them into the organization, because there's a lot of good talent that gets wasted by not being cited by people like yourself, right? And another honorable title that you have had, or you currently have, is the governor for the New York Academy of Science, right? So how has that role treated?
So we have a board of governors, and I have the honor of serving as a governor of the New York Academy. And if you think about the New York Academy of Sciences, it's the second oldest academy in the United States. It was founded by Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of this country. So, of course, when you have a institution that's 200 years old with tremendous scientific history. I look at it this way, we're just custodians of making sure that that legacy continues. And we're able to then globally connect to scientists across the world. It's not just an academy for New York, because the member organizations include all of the usual New York universities, NYU, Columbia, Rockefeller, Yale, Harvard, MIT, the whole Eastern Seaboard. And each one of them is an amazing institution, iconic, but collectively thinking about science as a discipline for society, that's what we as governors do. And think about what this next generation is going to need and how we can facilitate that connectivity. Innovation happens at the overlap of disciplines, not within a discipline typically.
That's really great to know. And I've heard a lot of extracurricular activities about yourself as well, apart from the regular corporate job, which is you're an active pilot as well. Jet fighter pilot, I believe. Right?
Well, no, so I'm not. I am an active pilot, and for those who are pilots, I'm instrument-rated, multi-engine, complex, high performance. These are all technical ratings, and I'm blessed to have all those ratings. I typically fly, on average, myself about 4 hours a week. I've flown from New York all the way west to Denver and all the way south to Florida, north to Canada. My best co-pilot is my wife.
Oh, excellent.
And so we enjoy flying because when you're up in the air, you're a captive audience. Your wife can talk to you and there's nobody to interfere except for air traffic control. So it's a phenomenal way of spending time and traveling. But more importantly, I enjoy the challenge, the technical challenge of flying. So as my children say, you're a physician, you're a pilot, you're a business leader, you're a scientist. Actually, I'm a curious person, and I'm a student.
That's an excellent explanation. And I believe that you have also flown a jet fighter, right? So
I have. I had the opportunity to fly a trainer jet called the L-69. It's a plane that is used to train MiG fighter pilots, and was able to go up and spend a few hours. It was an amazing experience, and it just adds to the portfolio of skills as a pilot. So I've had the opportunity to fly a whole variety, including what has been used in active combat, a fighter pilot before he was retired into civilian life.
And it's great to know all these things that you're telling. And I mean, the biggest thing that you have is curiosity, and that takes you so many different places, right? So how do you manage all these different talents and professions and hobbies of yours?
Life is about balance, and being successful is not about doing one thing. In my mind, it's independent of what you trained in as a discipline. If you have the plasticity and curiosity and the discipline, put those three things together, you can just about do anything. What's missing and one looks for is the inspiration and the drive. And that comes from within. And if you have that, then there's no reason, whether you're an entrepreneur, a professional, or a corporate executive, you take it in your stride. And to me, that's part. Now, the part we haven't talked about, which is equally important, if not more important, is the balance of the family.
Exactly, that's
right?
what we're trying to get to here.
And all of this won't matter at the end of one's career, but family will.
Yes.
And the balance is needed in your children, and I'm blessed to have a grandchild now. There's nothing more decompressing than coming home and having your grandson critique you in his own way, or a granddaughter. It doesn't matter. And I think that's the balance one looks for.
That's excellent, because that was my next question: how to manage a family with such a challenging career as well.
Well, as I said, I've been blessed. We've been married 32 years. It'll be 33 years this summer. My wife and I were students when we were married. I can truly say I married a teenage student. And the key is sharing responsibilities, knowing what you have responsibility for and knowing what your partner has responsibility for. And once that's clear and you respect each other's roles, the rest continues. Life has challenges. It wouldn't be life if it wasn't, but it's fun.
That's good to know. And today you're the keynote speaker for the Open Forum. So what is that? What will you be speaking about at the keynote?
So I'm going to be talking on two topics. One is very much around leadership a common question that comes up with young professionals is, how do you lead an organization? You know, and when you have a company like Pepsico that operates in 200 countries in the world, one thinks about leadership in ways where it's not about physically connecting. You cannot physically. I can't visit 200 countries in a year. I can't even visit 200 countries in a decade. How do you connect with people? How do you lead them? And then the second topic is going to be very much around this convergence between technology, which is of great interest to this audience, and traditional operating businesses like PepsiCo. And where is this innovation going to overlap, and what are the next frontiers? So I think I'm looking forward to thinking about how this professional and entrepreneurial community is going to contribute in the future to our industry. At the end of the day, food and beverage and water and agriculture are fundamental to every single human being. Whether you have a cell phone, a computer, whatever, it will not matter if you don't have food, water, obviously in agriculture behind that.
And apart from you saying that flying up in the air and compressing yourself with your grandchildren, I know it's a stressful life, right? So what else do you do to de-stress yourself? Like, what entertaining parts that you do? Watch movies, listen to music, and what is your entertainment side of your life?
So I love Qawwalis.
Okay.
I'm a big Qawwali fan. I love, my wife and I both enjoy music, whether we arrange it at home or we go to concerts. As I said, my wife and I travel across the world. About 50% of the time she and I are together. And so we are able to experience, I've always believed part of managing this is the memories you create. And the memories you create and the people you share those memories with are the best way of relaxing this, because you can sit and reminisce. And then when I'm too old and I can't remember too many things, my wife, I'm sure, like she does now, will remind me.
That's definitely good to know. Any other advice or suggestion that you want to give at Open? Because this is more of an entrepreneur startup incubator.
Sure.
Right? So what?
I think this audience already knows this, but my experience in my career, do whatever you want to do with passion. Second, take risks. Do not be afraid to take risks. Third, do the best you can, but pursue your passion. If you're not pursuing your passion, then you will not push yourself to the next limit. And you know what? Reinvent yourself. You cannot be the same that you were 30 years ago. If I was still doing what I learned 30 years ago, I couldn't even practice medicine, let alone do what I do today. Reinvention is key to continue to enjoy that.
And I think you have touched every single aspect of life, and that's what's great about your speeches always, is that it's not just about corporate, it's about passions, about entertainment, it's about family, kids, and everything. You have to take it all together and then take it with your life. Thank you very much, Dr. Mehmood. It was amazing having you here.
Thank you.
Looking forward to your speech as well.
Take care.